What's going on, guys? Welcome back to I Build Cars. This week we are going to talk about the C10 and Hot Rod Drag Week. Signed up for Hot Rod Drag Week this year, made registration despite all of the coupon code drama that happened. If you signed up for Drag Week or you're in the Drag Week groups, I'm sure you saw there was an issue with apparently you needed a coupon code to get your registration in, and they told you not to refresh the page, and most of the people that did not refresh the page wound up getting held up at that point, and they didn't make registration. I think they said it sold out in 5 or 6 minutes this year, so it was pretty quick. I know a couple people that also missed registration for the same issue. I had the same issue when I was signing up, and I just refreshed the page and it let it go right through. This year I was up in the air whether I was going to take the Lexus or the C10. I thought about it a whole bunch. The C10 for me, for Drag Week, for that experience, is probably going to be a much better pick, mostly because if I have any problems with this thing, I'll be able to go pretty much anywhere and stop and get parts for it. It's got an LS 4L80 combination in it, so if I break any of that stuff, I can get it anywhere. The Lexus has 2JZ, Nissan transmission, the clutch is a Tilton twin disc deal, the slave cylinder is a Tilton twin disc deal, so if I break any of that stuff throughout the week, unless I have spares with me, it's going to be a hard time finding parts for it if I break it. C10 is definitely going to be a better option. I haven't given you guys a full rundown. There is one big problem with this truck that I need to address before Hot Rod Drag Week. We're going to get into that. So this is my 85 C10. I got this truck pretty much the way that it sits in a lot of ways. There are a few things that I did change. Pretty much the basic rundown is it's a built 6-liter. It has a Summit Pro LS rod and piston combination in it. It has PRC, I think they're 240-ish cc heads. I forget what their numbers are on that. CNC ported heads. Built 4L80, very, very well built 4L80. It's got a lot of really gangster parts in it. Circle D, triple disc lockup, built 12 bolt, cow track, pretty much all the standard stuff. QA1, fully adjustable, everything's in the front, upper lower control arms, pretty much their full tubular package. And in the rear, it has a Viking, not the Crusader, whatever the lower line shock is, which I also need to change. It has a Boyd's welding gas tank in it. It's got a nice big, I think it's a 20-gallon fuel tank in it, which is going to be another benefit for Drag Week, just for the drives. It's a really, really nice truck. This thing's super comfortable. Doing the drive on Drag Week, I mean, this thing is absolutely mint inside. It's got a nice bench seat, power windows, power locks, power steering, factory shifter. Just going to be able to hop in this thing and go anywhere. I have put quite a few miles on this truck since I've gotten it. Probably about 10,000 miles on it now. But it is a beautiful truck. I'm going to pop the hood and show you the first thing that I definitely need to address before I even consider taking this thing on Drag Week. A lot of the stuff under the hood here is similar to the way that I got it with the truck, and some of it's different. The turbo is a Jose 92 millimeter cast manifold setup on it, recirculated wastegate. It did have a BTR equalizer intake on it when I got the truck, but I didn't think it fit well under the hood. It was super low. The throttle body was kind of in the way of the water pump. The charge piping wasn't ideal. So I did change an Edelbrock ProFlow on it, and the piping used to run down through here where it's super tight and rub on the fans and the water pump all the time. So when I changed to the ProFlow, I fixed this intercooler pipe up here. The biggest thing that I'm worried about with this truck is I haven't had a real need to fix too much since I've gotten it, because the truck has always ran and drove when I needed it to. But one of the things that I'm most unhappy with in the truck is the wiring. The guy that built this truck originally, some guys know who I got it from, which is Chad from Texas. He is at no fault to this because I know he didn't do it. The guy that originally built this truck, I think he's out of North Dakota. He has since blocked me on Facebook because I asked him a couple simple questions about the truck, and I found out why he didn't want to answer them was because he was a hack. The wiring in this truck is kind of a nightmare. It works. The truck runs, starts, and drives, does most everything the way that it should. I've had to sloppily fix on the side of the road in Ocean City enough wiring to keep the truck running. First weekend I had the truck, I melted half of the relays in the relay box because 3/4 of them were wired backwards. The main power stud was actually the switched trigger, and the main power going into the relay was pinned to the trigger input. So it was basically trying to pull a whole bunch of amps through relays that were not, you know, through the circuit in the relay that was not meant to pull 30, 40 amps. So I kept having fan issues. My quickest and easiest solution was I found someone that had one of these cheap Amazon fuse boxes, and you know, on the side of the road with whatever tools that I had, we got this done. Now, I know it's ugly. I got 2 fuel pump relays up top, and then we have trans cooler and both the cooling fans. There's something else in this box that I can't think of right now. Everything else in the truck, like the key, ignition, power windows, power locks, headlights, taillights, and all that stuff is still the stock harness to the truck. I'd really like to not get into all that stuff. I would really like to just fix what is pretty hacked up here, and I have no problem admitting that I hacked it up, but again, it was what I had on the side of the road to fix it. I want to fix all that stuff. I'm going to pull basically all of the fuel pump triggering stuff, the fans, the Holley, everything that runs off of the Holley, powered off the Holley, the trans cooler fan and all that stuff. I'm going to pull all that wiring out of the truck. I'm probably going to pick up a Leash Electronics relay board, remount that to the fender well under the hood here, and rewire all that stuff separately with its own harness, just because I don't want to be 2 hours into the drive from Numidia, or from MIR to Numidia, which is going to be a 4 or 5 hour drive on day one, and have a bunch of issues with, you know, wires melting and relays and all this other stuff and not being able to track it. That's one thing that I do really not like about this truck, is that I didn't wire it. So anytime there's a problem, I have no idea where to find it. So we're gonna get that straightened out. I mean, it is kind of a mess. I have no problem admitting that I did it, but it's definitely gonna get fixed. This stuff here with the inputs and outputs on the fender well was done before I got the truck. And again, these are like open connections. Water runs right down through there if you're driving. It gets all rusty, bad connections. Just not happy with that stuff really at all. Other than that, the truck should be pretty well ready to go. This truck has been, you know, pretty deep into the 9-second territory. It's been a 9:46, I think, on its best pass yet. I have struggled with the 60-foot a little bit. I'm not used to working on a truck that's this heavy. Whatever geometry is going on in the rear suspension, this thing separates really, really hard and really fast. I have had the rear shocks at full tight, and it's basically at full separation 10 or 15 feet out from the starting line, and it just knocks the tire every time. For Hot Rod Drag Week, I signed up for Street Machine Eliminator, which is a 10.0 restricted class. So I can turn this truck down and it should live in the 10.0 territory pretty comfortably. And again, the main reason why I want to take this over the Lexus is just because of parts availability, ease to work on it. I probably plan on having another 4L80, not nearly as built as this one, but still built with a trans brake valve body in it. That way I have a backup. I'm going to put a trailer hitch on it and pull a trailer. I'll probably take that 4L80. I'll probably take a spare stock bottom end LS, again, just in case anything happens, I can swap it out. And, you know, just a slew of tools and stuff to keep me ready just in case anything happens.
Mornings, ladies, gotta have a wild.
Only the best fuel, for sure. This is Joe's truck. This is probably the most out of control, unusable LS swap vehicle that I've driven yet. And it's not because it makes a whole lot of power, but it makes enough power to scare the shit out of you. The suspension is horrendous. The steering is horrendous. The brakes are pretty terrible. The body's falling off of it. Let's see if we got it. There we go. Got the old square body trick. That's cool. But we do have an LSA on a 6-liter in this thing. And let me tell you, with the big pulley that's on it, I think I've got a 2 7-upper. And the stock truck pulley, it only makes about 8-9 pounds of boost. It's out of control in this truck. Doesn't steer, doesn't stop, doesn't handle, but it will tear the tires off of it without issue. So naturally, we're gonna put a smaller pulley, E85 fuel system, and turn this thing up, because why not? He wants to do dirt drags with it. I think it'll be pretty fun. But first things first, let me put it on the lift, and we're gonna make some tailpipes tonight. As you can see, we got absolutely mint backing plates, both sides. Inner fender wells look great. We do have a dual shock kit, you know, from 25 years ago. Thank God we got a front sway bar. That definitely helps. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's all playing in the steering there. That's good. Looks like one of the clamps fell off. That's cool. I built this exhaust probably about a year ago. It does utilize Corsa mufflers. For the setup, it sounds really good. Trucks typically don't come out sounding that great, and this one sounds awesome. It's pretty straightforward, basic setup. I know this side was a little bit trickier. I had to get it up and over around the transfer case. I refuse to not have an X pipe or H pipe in it because they sound like shit without it. And this is where we're at on the tailpipe situation right now. Well, try not to hit my head here, but I got one side done. And this is pretty much what we're gonna go with for now. The truck has a roll pan on it, so I didn't want to drop it down below that rear cross member there because it would just look really silly. So I kept it nice and tight. Got plenty of room over the cross member, and we are under the frame rail pretty much the whole way. So driver's side is done. Now I just have to copy it and make one for the passenger side. No problem, right? It's gonna be perfectly symmetrical, right? Well, got it done. We officially have tailpipes on Joe's truck. I'm pretty eager to see how this thing sounds. They welded up pretty good considering the material that I started with was what was on the truck, so it was full of soot and just a bunch of junk. So I'm gonna get it down off the lift. Hopefully it sounds more Corvette now than it did before, because it sounded pretty rowdy before. So let's see what it sounds like. Well, out driving the LSA K15. It is a little rainy out, so I'm not gonna say this is super impressive, but new exhaust sounds great. Takes about quarter throttle to blow the tires off, in the rain at least. This thing runs really good. But like I was saying, it is sketchy. I mean, we're just going straight right now. This is the play in the wheel, still going straight. Makes for a good time, for sure. But at least wanted to hear how the exhaust sounds in the cab. Oh yeah. Yeah, she's sketchy. Exhaust is nice and quiet though. I'm pretty happy with it. Well guys, that's gonna wrap this one up. Good progress this week. Did get another couple parts for the Nova. We're gonna work on that on Saturday. Apparently there's some sort of emergency going on. Alternator bracket came for the Nova. I am 100% finally gonna put that other wastegate on, the turbo kit, on Saturday. probably put the alternator bracket on. I do have to cut the motor plate for that. A couple other small things, probably get the C10 back in the shop and put the full exhaust back on it. Since I'm driving it again, it's clean. The weather's getting a little bit warmer, and it's pretty unbearable to drive it with the open down pipe. So get that straightened out. Also, I've been sitting on a bunch of old videos of me scaring the crap out of a couple people in it, so I'm probably going to put that video up here soon. I just got to edit it. Thanks for hanging out on this one. Remember, please like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.